talent shortage, war for talent. You're probably right now looking for someone in your company where you say, we need some expert filling that spot. However, it gets more and more challenging to find the right people, and not only to find them, but also to attract them and to keep them and to develop them. And the main question is, why does it still happen that so many companies, so many organizations are struggling to find the right people, to develop them? And when you often hear about employee engagement, you wonder, well, keeping them happy, what does it actually mean? And today I have a special guest with me. Hello and welcome, Paul Tawal, the Managing Director from Team Mandara. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Niels. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for taking the time. I'm getting straight into it. But when I look at Team Mandara and it is about employee engagement, what, in your opinion, is employee engagement?
Employee engagement is setting the purpose of your company in alignment with the purpose of the individual. And by doing so, people are at the same level of expectations. And then people are more in energy for working to their best. So I think employee engagement has a direct connection with well-being. It's not about happiness. A lot of people use the word happiness, but then we think about other stuff. I'm talking about well-being. I have enough energy for my private life, but I have more energy to do my work. So I feel added value in going to my work. And then there needs to be alignment with my personal core values or non-negotiables and the purpose and core values of the company.
Excellent. So when I'm looking at Team Mandara, Team Mandara itself is a very international team. Looking on your website, I saw United Kingdom, Switzerland, Netherlands, Italy, even Africa and Australia. So you're working on a global level here. Do you think that there is a certain difference? Because let's say I am a large organization. I am from the United States of America. I'm investing in Europe. So I will say, hey, people, look, I pay you a good salary. There's work to be done. What is your problem not doing the work but asking for so many extras when I pay you well? How do you want to convince someone with that mindset to do it differently?
Well, we have a different approach of organizations in Europe than in the US. You know, yes, the Anglo-Saxon approach, top down in Europe, and we see the same now coming up in Australia and especially in Africa. It's more about the individual employee than only the shareholder. So we're looking at stakeholders in Europe, and an employee and his family are stakeholders within that organization. So if you want to have top talent, you don't look only at income in money, in stocks, in shares. You look in their well-being. They have a private life. They want to have 8 hours with their family as well, and they want to sleep. So we call it the 888 approach. Work 8 hours, relax 8 hours, and sleep 8 hours. And that's rough. It's not that it should be that way for every company, but it gives you a better feeling that you look at the well-being of an employee and his family fits in. When an employee has trouble at home, he won't have the full energy to do his work. And we can ignore it and say, hey, leave your trouble in your rucksack and put it in a cabin and it's done. No, it isn't. It's in that head. So take care of human beings. We're not human resources anymore. We're human beings.
Absolutely. You are one of the most well-known experts in this field. You come from the Netherlands. You have a lot of experience. We met, I think, in Washington or New York for the first time. In Düsseldorf first and then in the US. I remember that from conventions. So when we look at organizations today where they say we have a talent shortage, and yes, of course, we want to have the 888 approach, 8 hours work, 8 hours, whatever you want to do, and 8 hours sleep. But then they say we have a talent shortage. There's a lot of work to do. So there's no other chance than working more than 8 hours. We can't reduce the amount of work and still we struggle to find talent. So at least at the moment, the solution is work longer hours. What is your approach? What is your opinion on managers saying that, well, we have shortage, so you have to work more until we find the right people. What do you think of that approach?
Well, it's only a short-term solution. So I don't mind if you have a real, you have a new big customer. You need extra hours. You need new human beings working with you. Then, of course, you can ask for a short period of time to work 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, when you can prove that it will be for a short period of time. When you misuse people by saying, oh, it's for a short period, but we use it much longer, people get disengaged. And what we see is that productivity goes down with 30 to 40%. So they are there, and we call it presenteeism. I'm there, but I'm not productive.
Okay,
so I don't
you're
see
in
the
the office,
outcome.
but you do not really work. You're physically there, but you're not mentally there. You're not productive in what you do.
Yeah. So what we see, if we can work on engagement of employees, so supporting them in their well-being, then productivity increases with 20% on an average. And 20% is 1 day extra work in the same time for the same money. So maybe we should have a different approach, not more hours, but taking care of employees that they deliver more output. And I think that's the change, that if we have fully productive employees, nobody can make 100% in 8 hours. It's always about 60, 70%. But if they have a lot of engagement, that 50, 60% goes up to 80, 90% productivity.
Yeah.
That's what we need to look at. So I get the point of many managers, many leaders, but leadership is supporting and facilitating your employees and not dragging all the energy out of their bodies and out of their systems. So I think we should look at output instead of hours.
Yeah, fully agree here. If I would ask you just a binary question, what do you think is worse, absenteeism or presenteeism?
For me, presenteeism is more ugly because I can't see it and I can't handle it. Yeah. Look, sick leave is medically 1.5%. It's proven by all the scientists. So what we accept in the world is 2.5 to 3% sick leave. If it's higher than that, and we see it in the Netherlands and in Germany at this moment, then we have to look at other stuff. And what we see is that a lot of people have fear for what is coming next after COVID. Is it relevant? No, it isn't. It's fear. Do we have to deal with it? Yes. So we can do something about it. Presenteeism, people are there. I see, it looks like they're working, but I can't see the outcome. So if you can measure outcome in a decent way, then you can reduce presenteeism, but I don't see it that often that it really works.
Absolutely, fully agree here. So when people are now listening to this podcast and they say, okay, I think we really need to do something, but many people might think, well, the issue is there's so much to do here. I see so many issues. I just don't know where to start. If to wrap this interview up, I'd ask you to give your top three, Paul Terwal, Team Andara's top three things to start with, aspects to start with having more and better employee engagement. What would be your top three?
Well, the first one is an easy one, and that's a free one because you can go to our website, teamandare.com, and we have the engagement benchmark survey, 16 questions that you as a manager can answer and see how engagement is doing, because it gives you 16 topics where to start working. Number one for me is get your purpose and your core values, your non-negotiables clear. Don't have them somewhere in your intranet, have them on your website and discuss them with all your employees. They need to understand core values. They need to know that you are accountable and they need to trust you. I think that's the most important part. The other stuff is, do you have hidden gems? Do you know the talent in your organization? We call it the traffic light method. You have green, orange, and red. People in red, they are at home. They can't work. Orange is they are at risk. They are working. They have presenteeism, and you need to support them to find out what to do. And then we know, we have 40, 50% people are green. They work. Don't forget those people. Don't forget the people that are really working and supporting your organization. So we tend to forget as management to look at the green people, support their well-being, ask them what they need to keep working for you in the next 3 years. It's just a simple question. What do you need to stay here?
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise they might easily be ignored because you think, well, they are working, they're not saying anything, so everything might be all right. And suddenly you have someone quitting and you don't know why, because you ignored them for years and didn't appreciate what they did.
Well, you see the two stuff, the big resignation and now the quiet quitting. And quiet quitting is presenteeism. And the reason is we never asked, what do you need? How can we support you?
Yeah.
Because we are afraid that it will cost money. No, it will give us money. That's the big difference.
Absolutely. I think these are perfect final words for this podcast. I can only highly recommend to go to the website of Team Andare. It's team-andare.com. So take a look there. Thank you very much, Paul, for taking the time here. We saw that experts are in high demand because right now you see there is a shortage of talent on the market, but at the same time you have a rising demand to the needs. And especially right now when you say the upcoming times might be a bit more challenging than you think right now, and the competition might be tighter than you think, talent is the decisive factor that will decide if your company makes it or not, if you succeed or not, or if you just survive or you thrive on the market. I wish you all the best implementing these learnings you heard today in your organization, Paul. And of course, I as well are always happy to do so. And at the end of this podcast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Paul and everyone listening, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.